This is our Sp5251 unit design DVD by Elliot Baldwin, Chloe Brown and Lauren Kianche. The aim of this video is to provide an outline of our Year 8 gymnastics unit of work. This will include a brief overview of the 6 lessons, the key learning theory and the teaching model we will use to inform our practice, and finally an evaluation of this unit. The learning theory that we identified to be most applicable to our unit of work is constructivism. A constructivist approach to teaching places very little emphasis on the teacher giving instructions or answers. Instead, the teacher is expected to provide support, guidance, and facilitate situations that encourage learners to construct knowledge based on their environment, supported by Burton 2016 and Hesse 2009. This theory is most applicable to our unit of work because it can encourage creativity from the students, supported by Banu 2018. Pickard and Mould 2014 say that gymnastics is a particularly creative activity, which suggests that a constructivist delivery will complement the sport well, compared to a behaviourist approach, which sees the teacher take a more traditional approach and focus on outcome rather than process by rewarding success and focusing on specific behaviours or actions, supported by MacDonald 2004. Theorists such as Brunner and Vygotsky found that language and environments act as stimuli to individual response and learning. They believe that learning outcomes are not just concepts or procedures, and that the aim of learning is to allow students to transfer skills into a range of situations. Information from McLeod 2018. Constructive alignment can support this process. Constructive alignment is the term given to different learning activities, methods, and assessment strategies that directly align with the intended outcomes of a lesson. Bold and Falkov 2007. Constructive alignment focuses on what the teacher wants the students to learn, not what they want to teach. Reference from Biggs and Tang 2009. Using a constructivist learning theory will therefore ensure constructive alignment, as the activities in the unit will encourage the students to find their own learning from the lesson and the environment that they are in. Hafferty and Goldberg 2017 argue that constructivism can lead to teaching the hidden curriculum, as pupils may learn more than what the teacher intends. The hidden curriculum can be defined as what students learn in school that isn't part of the curriculum. This could include skills and values and is often considered as socialization. A particular benefit of this style is that it is pupil-centered, which, as Fairclough 2003 states, can improve learners' perceptions of competence by providing more individualized tasks. In practice, constructivism may be implemented by the teacher adapting a game or activity to create a problem. The teacher will alter the task or environment in order to draw out a certain response from the pupils. For example, saying that a gymnastics routine must include a certain number of balances.
The teaching model that we chose to base our unit of work on is the peer teaching model. The aim of this model is an alternative method of teaching where the students act as tutors for their peers and provide feedback to one another in order to support and enhance each other's learning. We chose to use this model because it encourages social interaction, teamwork, and independence. This teaching model will also allow the teacher to observe the students, as the model doesn't require high amounts of teacher input. This also means that the students can observe each other, which, as Werner, Williams and Hall in 2012 say, is a rich learning experience for children. A study conducted by Johnson Ward in 2001 found that through peer teaching, children performed fewer total actions of striking a ball, but at a higher success percentage than in previous lessons that didn't use the peer teaching model. This shows that when the students were held accountable for their learning and accomplishment, their performance improved. However, this model, like all, has its weaknesses. For example, it could be argued that students don't always give accurate feedback, but the study conducted by Werner et al. Also showed that students were accurate at determining their partner's success rate over 90% of the time. The study also found that although the peer teaching model resulted in less work being done, which this could be because of the dynamics of the pairing, such as experience or friendship, we will aim to overcome this by ensuring that the activities and the lessons are pitched at a suitable level to ensure that the students are engaged. This links with Vygotsky's idea of the zone of proximal development, which is the area between what an individual can achieve and what they can't. Ward and Lee in 2005. The zone of proximal development can be supported through social interaction and support from individuals with more knowledge or experience, whether that is a teacher or peers. The peer teaching model allows this to happen as it requires high levels of social interaction supported by Mitchell 2030.
As previously mentioned, we have devised a gymnastics unit of work for Year 8 pupils. Week 1 will be focused on balances and basic shapes. In this lesson, students will use guidance sheets to practice different shapes and balances independently and in pairs before putting together a short routine and performing it to another group. When giving back feedback to another group, we would encourage students to use what went well and even better for future. They could even give an example of 2 stars and a wish from the performances so that students feel motivated.
The clips for week 1 show how the lesson develops from practicing basic shapes and balances with the support sheets and peer feedback into mirroring with a partner. The students would then be expected to buddy up with another group to show them what they have learnt and to give and receive feedback on their work. The support sheets would have some key teaching points and terminology on them to trigger the discussion around feedback.
In week 2, the students will learn in a similar way to the previous week, but this time we'll focus on movement techniques such as rolls and jumps. Peer teaching in a sport such as gymnastics benefits students due to the constant provision of feedback. Students are able to utilise the information on the support sheets or information given by the teacher, and therefore, rather than simply observing, the students can utilise each other's knowledge. This is called intuitive validation. Metzler 2000, as cited in the Teacher Resource Kit 2012.
The clips for week 2 show the progression of teaching a forward roll. In the first clip, the student is being talked through the process by her partner. If the student needed more support, then a teacher would be able to be there to spot and help with the movement pattern to ensure safety. The second video shows the student then performing a forward roll on the mats without the support of a ramp. In practice, there would be a more gradual decrease of ramp height so that the students can slowly build up the momentum of doing a forward roll unaided. In week 3, the lesson is focused on performing different jumps. Delivery will be very similar to the previous weeks, whereby students will work in pairs and then join another group to perform a routine and give and receive feedback. Spending time revisiting basic shapes, jumps and movements is important, as the National Curriculum for PE states that pupils in Key Stage 3 need to develop technique and improve performance. This links with Bruner's spiral curriculum, which states that students should revisit concepts and activities at varying degrees of difficulty in order to develop understanding and progress, referenced by Lawrence 2012. The clips in week 3 show the jumps lesson. Again, the students will play a crucial role here, as they will help to spot their partner when using the apparatus. The teacher is likely to be placed closer to the station that has the most dangerous equipment set up, for example a springboard or trampette onto a high box. It is important that the teacher is constantly aware of everything that is going on in the room, despite the fact that they may be focused on one particular station. The lesson in week 4 will see the students use various pieces of apparatus to implement what they have learned over the previous weeks. The students will be able to perform balances, rolls, and travel around a circuit of apparatus with the help of their partner in order to get used to the different equipment on offer before next week's lesson, where the students can use pieces of apparatus in their routines if they wish to do so. Although it might seem that the lessons are repetitive, we believe that this is the most appropriate way for the lessons to be delivered. It gives the students ownership of their own lesson, and it also gives us the chance to observe development, and we would be able to move groups on quicker if they needed to, and also support those that won't progress through the activities as quickly. The peer teaching model is very inclusive as it allows groups to work at different paces and not feel like they are incompetent. The clips for week 4 show a small-scale apparatus circuit. In a lesson, the circuit is likely to be slightly bigger as there will be more students using it. There would be a rule in place so that only one student is on any piece of apparatus at a time to avoid accidents and injury. One member of the pair will be on the apparatus. The other member of the pair will be supporting them from the outside of the circuit as demonstrated in the clips. The teacher would be based in the centre of the circuit to observe and react quickly if required. While half the class do this activity, the other half of the class would be recapping work from previous weeks on the mats. The circuit group would then swap so that the other partner can have a go before swapping the activity with the other half of the class. This lesson would finish with a group or peer discussion about the tasks and possibly some floor demonstrations if any group wants to perform their routine so far.
Week 5 will begin to see the students choreograph a paired routine using the learning and short performances that the students have produced throughout the unit. This lesson will act as preparation for the final lesson where the students' learning will be assessed. Spending time working on the balances and movement skills will encourage the development of physical literacy and encourage lifelong participation due to the motivation that physical competence creates. Whitehead 2010. The final lesson in week 6 is an opportunity for the students to show their learning and development by finalising the routine that they have been gradually putting together throughout the unit. Pupils will then perform their routine and they will get some feedback from their peers. The teacher will also be able to observe the performances to assess learning and development.
Weeks 5 and 6 will follow on from week 4 and see the students choreograph a routine using all of the elements from the previous weeks. Students can choose whether or not they wish to use apparatus in their performance, and there will be a limit on the amount of equipment that they have access to. For example, they may be only allowed to use 2 benches and 1 box. There will be support sheets available to provide creative ideas and sequencing suggestions for those that struggle. The reference cards found in the Teacher Resource Kit 2012 are useful examples of how our support sheets might look. The key features of these sheets that we liked were the skill instructions, space for comments, tick boxes, and the use of images. Students don't always want to complete written work in a physical education lesson, as it isn't stereotypically a lesson for theory, but cross-curricular links are important and hugely beneficial to young people. This idea is supported by Derek People from the Youth Sport Trust. Encouraging students to observe and feedback might also make them think about other areas of sport that they are interested in. These lessons might open up students' eyes to the world of coaching and performance analysis, granted on a very basic level, but a great insight nonetheless. We also discussed the idea of using technology to aid learning. This could be done through watching videos of step-by-step guides, elite athletes in action, or previous students' work to inspire and motivate the students in our lessons. We are hopeful that providing the students with some ownership and control over their learning will encourage them to participate and enjoy our lessons. As previously mentioned, the style of delivery in this unit is beneficial to students for many reasons, and especially those who have low self-esteem, as they can work with people that they are comfortable with. It is also beneficial for students with special educational needs, as supported by Mitchell 2007.
To evaluate our unit of work, it is important to consider the theory, model and plan. We think that we chose an appropriate model and theory of learning for this unit of work, as it will give the pupils the freedom to work at their own pace and their level. They can be creative, cooperative and interact with their peers to guide each other's learning. It also means that from a teaching perspective, we can step back and observe more, which will allow us to step in and support those that need it. We can move groups on to the next task when they are ready to assess learning and development of all students. We are confident that students would experience deep learning from this unit, as the teaching model and theory complement each other and support this to happen. There is a lot of research that shows the benefits of working with peers, and so this is a positive way to approach this unit. It's especially true in gymnastics, as it is quite an exposing sport, so for many students, and ones that often provoke feelings of fear, stress, disappointment and a lack of confidence. Zach and Cohen, 2012, say working with friends, however, feeling in control and achieving something in the lesson or activity will lead to many feelings of motivation. This links to Decker and Ryan's self-determination theory, the idea that an interest, value and confidence in learning and personal ability leads to intrinsic motivation and development. There are times in the unit, however, where activities might not be entirely focused on the peer teaching model, and therefore we would need to address this. In particular, week 5, where the session has an activity that allows the pupil to travel around a circuit of apparatus. In order to make this lesson more appropriate, we could adapt the plan slightly and set up a number of different apparatus stations rather than a loop circuit, and in small groups the students can spend around 10 minutes on each station before rotating around to the next. It would be assumed that students will be off task if working in a group with their friends. However, Velasquez, Colorado, 2012, suggests that it may be in fact increase productivity rather than hinder, as pupils choose their groups, which can create group cohesion. If this was to be a problem, however, we could overcome this by giving that group mini tasks to achieve, because this might help them focus more. This might be something that the teacher needs to organise, as otherwise it could end up increasing the level of off-task activity rather than reducing it. The following 3 slides contain a list of the references that were used to produce this piece of work. Thank you.